The Republic of Kiribati consists of 32 atolls and one Goro island dispersed over 3.5 million square kilometers, making it one of the largest EEZ in the world. This island nation is located in the central tropical Pacific Ocean and has a total population of approximately 100,000, 43% of which reside on the main island of Tarawa. Phosphate, once the leading source of income, was mined out in 1979. Currently, a large portion of Kiribati's income is from abroad through fishing licenses, development assistance, tourism, and worker remittances. Like many island nations, Kiribati is highly dependent on petroleum imports for electricity generation in the urban areas and transport. With the outer islands dependent on solar and biomass for energy, the growth of petroleum imports is due to increased population and economical growth on Tarawa and Kiribati Island. Easily, the largest potential for GHG reduction is the conversion from diesel fuel to biofuels based on coconut oil.
Biofuel in Kiribati means coconut oil mixed with diesel at a certain percentage level. Currently, we do a B, they call it B70, which is 70% coconut oil and 30% diesel. And that is quite a new product to us. Although a lot of studies we've done before. In 2008, we did studies to do that, and then eventually in 2011 it has taken off the ground with the assistance of Italian governments providing funding for renewable energy, which is quite related to the environment concerns. In Kiribati, mainly there's only two resources, and that's as you know, it's the sea surrounding the island, so it's marine resources, largely fish. And for the land, it's a small atoll. The coconut tree is the main plant, providing the main resource for land. And Kiribati Copper Mill Company really started in 2003 to replace the copper export, because there was increasing evidence that it is better to add value to the natural resources. We also came across a method that we now have concluded and adopted, which is quite simple. It just involves filtration of oil into going through a 5 micron down to 1 micron level, and then mixing it with diesel, and there's some catalyst that is added to that, and it's just added straight into the mix, and then the stirring goes, and comes out as the fuel used. So in this method, we find it's not waste, no waste at all.
The very first step of the process, start with copper coming in from the outer islands. We store some here. What we do here, we have to clean the copper before we process it, because copper from the outer islands come with dust and other foreign materials that will contaminate the oil. So we have to separate it through this copper vibrating screen. You can see this guy here is going to control the feed, where copper is going to be conveyed and through the hammer. In this process, the copper is being hammered so it can get into the sizes, being headlight or powdered. And once it's being cooked, it goes through this expeller. It contains some sludge and some other particles, so we have to separate that before we get it into our filter. So the next step is we have to pump it into that vapor separator. As you can see, some larger particles are coming out at the top, finer ones at the bottom, and the oil goes out at the other end there. After filtering it, we store it here. What we do after settling it for a week, nearly a week, we let it, the oil here, we pump it through that system there. We let it through the 5 microns and let it settle there again. Once we get it through that 5 microns, then we pump it through the 1 micron again. So we'll pump it through this reacting tank. And we do the same thing with the diesel. Just to make sure the fuel is safe for cars, we have another fuel, normal car filter here. So at least we are sure that this goes through a lot of filtration. And it's already to use.
I'd just like to add that, with the biofuel production, we'd like to expand it to the islands in the line Phoenix, because, we don't want to be producing biofuel here and then take it again to Christmas Island. We believe with lots of copra on that side of the Kiribati, we should, have a same setup that we have in Tarawa here, placed in Christmas Island, which has, a lot of copra, and for the islands, to save for the islands for biofuel or value-added products from the coconuts.
Okay, so the water pump was installed many years back, I think more than 10 years back, and it's really beneficial to the school in many ways. And number one, the steady of water supply to needed areas, especially for drinking. That's the main purpose. And number two, for shower, for gardening, in a way that it really lessens the manpower, in a way that water can steadily supply all the required tanks. From the tanks, we have 2 tanks. From the 2 tanks, then the water is distributed to different areas in the school. So now the water, when you see the water is running well, like in Tarawa. What I mean is the pressure of the pump is exactly like in Tarawa. When you see it, when it's running, it really supply areas the same like the water pressure in Tarawa. So that's a good example of how that solar energy pump be able to benefit the school as a whole. So we can see that when, I think 2 months ago, the pump was down, and then the government decided to fund the solar pump again. And during that time when the pump was broken, and we experienced a lot of problems, especially drinking, where we, instead of drinking water from a tap before, then we have to supply it from the well. It has to be carried from the well up to the kitchen for cleaning and for drinking and for other needed purposes. We have a 24-hour service, so we can communicate to the world by internet on a 24-hour basis. Last year, the solar supply was down, and therefore we are only now depending on AC supply from the generators. So we experience a lot of not problems, but when we want to be connected to internet, then we need AC supply from the generators, and that really brings about budget. In other words, we come to a lot of financial situation with the internet system. So the only way to have that running on a good basis, we charge more money. We charge students more fees. So the fees are increased in order to meet the expense of the generator.
It's almost 10 years since we have our system installed. Our system look after these houses in the home. We got the main house here where the solar, the battery is located, and then all the wiring for the power to this house, the other house, those three, including the toilet at the back, and we have the system to have lights on in the home, in the house. And we find it very cheap to run the system on the solar, the sun, instead of buying kerosene and other petrol for the generator. We can't afford those things because it's too expensive. And we know that the solar is free, no cost for the sunlight to have the power to the battery and light our houses like that, cheap. And also we find it very comfortable because there's no smoke or whatever to pollute the air or lying around the battery wasted and make the soil bad and poison our plants and that, all clean up in the solar.
I think it is now very topical and common knowledge that renewable energy is one way to reduce the impact on the environment, global warming and such. And Kiribati is a small country, and it is quite very much concerned that given its natural state of small islands and low-lying, it is imperative for it to really go into this and demonstrate to the world that it is, as a small country, whatever it's doing is trying its best to contribute to that, because it is a very sensitive issue to the islands and the people.